Okay, fess up, right? When you first thought you were going to take a class on investing, you figured, oh, we're going to talk about gold, right? Gold. It's gold. Yeah, we're here. We're about ready to discuss precious metals, art, collectibles, but we're going to find that they haven't been very good investments. In fact, some of them have been horrible investments. Just bear with us, okay? So let's read. Let's see. No dividends, no interest, no rent, doesn't create new products, technologies, innovations, doesn't expand into new markets. Yeah, there sure is a lot to like about gold. Not. Slide number 2, investing in precious metals. And certainly the most talked about is gold. The problem is it has not been a very good investment. If you believe that the world economy is going to fall apart anytime soon, oh yes, indeed, buy gold. But as Tom Petruno, who used to write for the Los Angeles Times, said, if your reason for owning gold has something to do with the end of the world as we know it, shotguns and canned food probably would be more practical investments. If you really do believe that the technologically based society that we live in is about to collapse and dissolve into a pool of tears, get out of the northern hemisphere, go down to Tierra del Fuego or Tasmania or someplace far away from civilization and learn how to raise goats and grow corn and sorghum, and I wish you a lot of luck. Yeah, I know. You can't bet on the end of the world. Well, you can, but you won't be able to collect if the world does end. But let's say you want to invest in gold. Okay, there are bullions, bars, and wafers, and gold bullion coins, which have set precision amounts of how much gold is in there, assuming it really is gold and not lead painted to look like gold. And where are you going to store it? Are you going to store it in the house somewhere? Don't put it in a safety deposit box at a bank, because if the technologically based civilization does crash, you won't be allowed to get in the bank. They'll have armed guards in front of the doors. Mr. Buffett said it, Warren Buffett said it pretty well. He said, look, gold is something we dig up on the other side of the earth, transport it to our side of the earth, dig a hole and bury it, and then put armed guards in front of it. What is it useful for? Really, folks, what is gold useful for? Well, jewelry, obviously, yes. People love it for jewelry. The dentist will tell you that it is the best material to use on your teeth, although there are many other good materials which are a whole lot cheaper. The electrical engineers will tell you it's a phenomenal usage for electrical components. And yes, in your phone, in your telephone, there's a little tiny bit of gold in some components that need a good electrical conductor that doesn't corrode, and that's gold. But other than that, there's not that many uses for it, really. It's not really worth that much, other than what other people believe it's worth. So in that respect, that's why it's in our section on our part of the semester about speculations. You need to buy low, sell high, if you're going to use it as an investment. Oh well. Now, you could invest in gold stocks, but then that's just investing in another stock, isn't it? And you could invest it in exchange-traded mutual funds that hold gold for you, assuming that it's not lead painted to look like gold. And besides, if you believe that the technologically based civilization is going to crack and dissolve into a pool of tears, why would you buy a stock, right? You think the whole stock market's going to crash. I mean, gold stocks are going to crash too. Now, silver is an interesting material because it is far cheaper than gold, far more plentiful than gold. Oh, by the way, we forgot to discuss the scarcity argument that people say, well, there's not that much gold. They're right, there isn't that much gold. All the gold in the world would not fit in one major sports stadium around the world. Yeah, that's not that much, not that much of it. So people use that as an argument to buy it. Well, but it's not that useful. So just because something is scarce doesn't mean it has any value. So, but let's now turn our attention to silver and find that silver is actually a very useful material in many different industrial applications. And it's far cheaper and far more plentiful than gold. The one big usage of silver that is long gone is film. Yeah, film. I mean, some people still use film, but nobody goes into a drugstore or a grocery store or any other convenience store and buys those little yellow boxes of film labeled Kodak anymore. It just doesn't happen. Now, the next three are quite interesting: platinum, palladium, and rhodium. And certainly, if you had purchased them just a few years ago, you would be sitting pretty and be able to sell them at a very large profit. Why is that? Because these three materials are essential in many high technology applications, such as catalytic converters in your car, which are help to reduce smog tremendously. That was something in the 1970s that California, by the way, was instrumental in screaming at Detroit, saying, "You got to do something about this, because have you been to Los Angeles lately? And if you want to, just do an internet search on images from Los Angeles in the 1960s and 70s, and you won't believe how bad the smog was. And then do searches of images of Beijing or Shanghai just a few years ago, and the Chinese are figuring out that they got to do something about their smog problem. And these materials are very useful for that. For that reason, now catalytic converters are being stolen from cars because these trace exotic elements are so expensive now, far more expensive than gold. So instead of buying gold, you should have bought rhodium or palladium or platinum. But still, where are you going to keep it? Do you have a usage for it? Good luck. So let's review this graph we had from back way in chapter 1, and we saw that stocks over the last 200 years have just exploded, and so has the global economy and our standard of living, and if you've invested in companies. And yes, those little squiggles downward are big drops in 2073, 74, there's 2008, but still, there's 2000 to 2002, 2008. But still, you see the upward swing of our economy, global economy, and the stocks that represent the economy. And bonds have done pretty good, but nowhere near as good as stocks. Treasury bills, which are an example of short-term investments, have beaten the consumer price index, but gold has barely beaten inflation. Now, there are times when people believe the world is going to end, and gold does very well, such as the Civil War era, and then in the 1930s and World War II. And then when inflation took hold in the 1970s, gold did very, very well, and reached a peak of $800 an ounce in 1981, it was, 1980. Then proceeded to go down to $250 an ounce over the next 20 years, and then has done fairly well throughout the 2000s and into the 2010s, but still nowhere near as well as stocks. But hey, if you want to buy gold, buy gold. When people say, I want to buy gold, I want to buy gold, I show them this graph. I say, okay, look at this graph. You still want to buy gold? Go buy gold. Good luck. Buy low, sell high. And if you're good at doing that, you could make a lot of money. And if you're not good at doing that, you can lose a lot of money, or at least not make anything. Speculation. Now, what about precious gems? They're even worse. Diamonds are not an investor's best friend. And if you do a little research on these diamonds as an investment or precious gems as an investment, you'll find that there are a handful that have gone up in value. But most diamonds, You can't sell them for anything close to what you paid for them. Have you ever actually sold a diamond or known anybody who's sold a diamond? But De Beers and other companies over the last 120 some odd years has been very good at marketing diamonds as if they were phenomenal investments. You know, they're not that scarce, folks, diamonds. Really? They're really not that scarce. In fact, the De Beers cartel kept them scarce artificially to make people believe they were scarce. They're mostly used in cutting tools. And in fact, since the 1950s, they've been making diamonds. They're making them. They're made out of carbon. I mean, carbon. You're made out of carbon. Every living plant, every plant and animal is made out of carbon. And so some entrepreneurial individuals have decided that they could sell diamonds made out of your pet or your loved one so that you can wear Fluffy or Fido or Tio Lucas on your finger forever. Yes, send us the ashes of your loved ones, after they're dead, of course, and cremated, and we'll send you back a diamond. Okay, so you think you're going to be able to sell it for more than you paid for it? No. Now, how about collectibles? Now, this is something that's very interesting because some people get enjoyment and wonder and just simply fun out of collecting rare coins, works of art, antiques, stamps, rare books, sports memorabilia, rugs, Chinese ceramics, paintings, Beanie Babies, baseball card collections, and any other items that appeal to collectors and investors. Myself, I'm a big fan of old-style stereo equipment. I actually have a few Marantz receivers, and they've gone up in value. And now, you know, not a whole lot compared to if I had just bought stocks back in 1975 when I bought my Marantz 2045 amplifier, which is still, receiver, I'm sorry, it's 2245, which is still going strong. I love it. Great sound. And now it's selling for more than I paid for it. Not a whole lot more than I paid for it, but still more than I paid for it. And I know a friend who's very good at identifying collectible cars, and he's a mechanic. He knows how to fix the darn things. I don't know how to fix the darn things, and I'm not the best driver. I tend to get a lot of dents in my cars. So you have to decide if any one of these items are something that you want to collect, and who knows, you actually might make some money. This guy with his cars has done very, very well. But it can also be a disaster. You can take a look at the San Diego Barbie guy who many years ago had, at the time, and this was many years ago, the early 1990s, $1 million worth of Barbie dolls, vintage Barbie dolls. And they were gone. They just disappeared from a lockup that he had them in. Luckily, the story ended well. He got them back. But still, I don't want to own anything that's worth that much that somebody could just pick up and walk away with. Now, somewhere along the line, someone's going to tell you that, oh, don't invest in stocks or mutual funds or anything like that. Fine art. Fine art has gone up higher than any other investment. And you know, they're right. They're absolutely right. But nothing that you and I are ever going to own is going to be one of the pieces of fine art that's gone up. These is a very, very small percentage of all the art that is created. And listen to Christopher Berghay of Christie's Auction. Don't buy art as an investment. Buy it because of the wonder it gives you, the joy it gives you, or the feelings that it evokes in you and others. Don't buy it as an investment. Who knows? You may do well. I bought one piece of art back 1 million years ago, and the last time I checked it, it actually had gone up fairly well. It had gone up pretty well. But it's not in the best of condition. It had to make it across the country. And I almost, it actually has done pretty well. I don't know. I think the guy might have passed away. It might be up even worth more now, so I'll check. But I almost, this was right after, I'm old, folks, after about a year or so after John Lennon was murdered. And he was an artist. Most people don't know that, but he was an artist also. And he had sold a lot of art. And his art it's evocative. It's a little, it reminds one of Picasso's later work. And I thought, this stuff is going to be worth a lot of money someday because it's John Lennon's artwork. But I didn't do it. I didn't buy it. I thought it was a little too expensive, figuring, oh well, I don't really want to have that much money hanging on my wall. I went back a few years ago. It has not appreciated. It has not. In fact, the one piece I was going to buy, which was my favorite, is actually gone down a bit. Not a whole lot, but down a bit. If, on the other hand, I had bought John Lennon's guitar, then I'd be sitting on something that would be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it can be a good investment, and you will talk to people who said, yeah, I knew exactly that thing sitting in somebody's garage, the garage sale that they were selling for $25 was worth, over $100,000. But that's, very far and few between. Make sure you know who the dealer is, get a good reputation. Beware of scams, because in the 1980s, there was a rash of Salvador Dali paintings that were basically counterfeits. And they flooded the market. And we have friends who bought a Salvador Dali in the 1980s, and they have never even wanted to find out. It's a Dali. It's obviously, if it is a fake, it's a very good one. And so it does evoke Salvador Dali's, very, what is it called, surreal emotions. But it's probably not a Salvador Dali. So they got taken. We think. We don't know. They don't even want to know. So don't buy art as an investment. And lastly, the maximum capital gains tax rate on most all investments is currently 15%. For some people, it's 20%, not you and me. And could be as low as 5%, and there's some unusual situations where it could actually be 0%. But the capital gains tax rate on precious metals, art, and collectibles is 28%. And by the way, none of these investments are eligible for tax-qualified accounts. Retirement accounts, educational savings accounts, and the like that we'll speak of in a few chapters from now. And there's one exception. You can put, I don't know how you do it, you have to find somebody who's going to hold it for you, because you can't hold on to the things if you do this. You can put Golden Eagle gold coins, gold bullion coins. They have to be United States Golden Eagles. You can't use anybody else's. In a retirement, in an IRA, individual retirement arrangement, individual retirement account. But everything else, forget it. So do you think the Congress is trying to tell you something? Yeah, folks. Precious metals, art, collectibles, they're not the best investments. The collectibles might bring you joy, they might bring you wonder, but they're probably not going to bring you a good retirement. And that is our discussion of precious metals and art and collectibles. And if you thought that was a downer, wait till we discuss our final pair of speculations, cryptocurrencies and NFTs, non-fungible tokens, in our next chapter. See you in our next chapter, folks. Thank you so much for being in our class. All of us at Southwestern are happy, proud, honored, and grateful that you've stuck it out this far. Oh my goodness, we are so proud of you.